I gotta go, tired of going solo. But I'm never gonna go there again. This is what it is, this is who I am. This is where I finally take my stand. I didn't want to fall, but I don't have to grow. I'm not the one with two star hands. Giving him the best of everything that's left of the life inside this man. I've been born again.
Yes, we've been born again. This is Eddie Huff. You're listening to Fresh Black Coffee. We're here on a Saturday morning. I think it's still morning for a few more minutes. This is Eddie Huff. As I said, we've got Dave Van Rizzigam with us. And we've got a special guest in the studio with us today, Darren Gantz. Hey, Darren, how are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you're welcome, brother. It's really nice to have you. Hey, yeah, man, what a week. This has been a crazy, crazy, crazy week.
Yeah.
Everything has been sucked up by two stories, basically. Of course, the big one is our debacle in leaving Afghanistan. Our president, Joseph Biden, I can't believe he can't. I guarantee you he didn't come up with his plan. He did. That's not him. That's his advisors or someone, misadvisors, bad advisors, if anything. But, yeah, I listened to Donald Trump the day after everything started falling apart. You have people, speaking of falling apart, you have people falling from airplanes. Did you see that? I mean, that's sad.
Oh.
Guy, I mean, who in their right mind tries to hang on to a C-17 airplane?
It's sad.
In a supersonic, cargo jet.
Yeah.
And that is very sad that they were that desperate to get out of there that they actually hung on. I think what happened as it started taxiing, they couldn't figure out how to get off. That's what I think happened. I don't think anyone intended to actually go in the air outside of the jet. I think they probably got, because if you see the video of it taxiing, they're hanging on there, and I honestly think that they panicked and didn't know a good time to jump off, and at that time they took off.
Took their chances. I have looked at a video of that landing gear and how it retracts. It is a very unusual retraction and encasement in that the wheels pivot 90 degrees and then go up. And I just think some of the unexpected physics of it threw some people off, along with 150 mile an hour wind, don't you know?
Below zero if you actually made it up there.
Yeah, if you make it up there, then
below zero at 150 knots.
How many people can survive several hours of being on the top of Mount Everest?
Oh yeah, it's a 4 to 6 hour flight to Qatar.
Yeah, you freeze to death.
Oh, yeah, easily. Or suffocate.
Or you suffocate.
You can't breathe at 40,000.
Yeah,
you can't breathe at 30, 40,000.
So they would have fell off then.
Oh, yeah. They were probably dead before they fell, but still.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they could not land it because somebody's dead body was frozen and stuck the landing gear. Somebody had to go manually shove and push, and another body fell off.
Oh, really? That was on the other end, on the landing side.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, so that just speaks to the size of that debacle. I mean, that's the only word I can think of debacle. And it could have been avoided. President Trump, what's so funny, I saw President Trump the next day, and they were interviewing, he made the rounds, and common sense would tell you, it's funny how we have a hard time with some of his bravado, his bragging. Like Dave and I, that's how we met. We were talking to you, Darren.
Dave was bragging.
Yeah. No.
Would you believe Donald Trump was bragging? And he stretched the truth. Eddie just still doesn't believe it.
He can't let it go. He can't let it go. When Donald Trump was here at the Mabee Center, and he was talking about 18,000 people
at ORU Stadium.
Dave is still not forgiving for that. At ORU Stadium, the Mabee Center, as we all know here in town,
the line was which
holds 8,500 people. The way they had the setup, and. But Dave can't let that go. But that is, he tends to exaggerate. I'll just say he exaggerates. But he doesn't lie. Dave thought he was lying. I considered exaggerating.
Well, in Bible school, they called that evangelistically speaking.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Well, you could have the benefit of the doubt. He just heard the 8. Not 85, and he thought it was 18.
18.5.
But a week in advance, they booked the Mabee Center layout for 7,000 people.
But you know what though? What
See,
you're-
he's still
no,
got-
no. What you're missing, Dave? What you're missing is there were 10,000 people in the parking lot.
Yeah.
That you didn't count in the 10,000 in the parking lot. So Trump may have been telling the
Not
truth.
to mention
Who knows?
all the kids on campus.
There you go. Yeah, you had
Oh,
the students.
there you
gotta
go.
count
Student
those.
body. Yeah, thank you. Where were you 6 years ago? When we are far. We do this all the time, people. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Well,
we tend to chase rabbits in this program.
After that gruesome opening about the landing gear at
Yeah,
Kabul, we need
we had
some
to clear our
content.
palates, didn't
Levity.
we?
Do we have a Babylon beat?
Well, no, I need to continue this
Yes,
for a
go
moment.
ahead.
But essentially, what I was getting at was Donald Trump. He may exaggerate. He may tell these little ditties and things he does. But when it comes to serious things, the guy is spot on.
Yeah.
And he was saying that common sense would tell you that what you do, you get your people out, then you pull the military out.
Right.
Then, as he put it, you bomb the hell out of every facility that you had, so they can't use the gear. I mean, and in that order, it is exactly true that
They
you
had a
get
plan.
the civilians. He had a plan, but and you notice the Afghan Taliban, they were quiet and they were staying in their place until Biden said, "We're going to be out of here by." 9/11 was his original date, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Then he moved it up, and man, that was like shooting a starter gun at a track meet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just went from one area and took over the whole country.
Unbelievable.
In 3 days.
Yeah.
3 days. Some people say 4. I'm going to say 3. I think we were being generous to say it took them 4. But it's like Sodom and Gomorrah now. I mean, it is literally unbelievable what they're doing to the women, the girls, the children, the men, beating, shooting, raping, pillaging. I mean, it's like, oh man, it's ours now. And they have no control. They're not guided by the principles we are.
Yeah.
And apparently, well, there would be a disagreement with some Muslims, but I think what they would say is anybody they consider an infidel, you can do anything to them you want, and it's okay.
Because they're not humans.
Right.
That's essentially
exactly right.
the Jewish
That's right. Right. That's
the
exactly
Islamic
right. You can
view.
do only the believers count. You can't touch a truly, obedient person or woman or whatever. But yeah, it's such a messed up thing. But anyway, the whole thing was just so messed up. It's sad, and what it brings me to. The Daily Caller has a great article. I've got it here. I'll read it for us, and we will get to the Babylon Bee. Don't worry. But the Daily Caller, August 20th, 2021. The U.S. combat mission in Afghanistan was meant to remove the Taliban from power and deny terrorists a safe base of operations following September 11th, 2001. Just short of 20 years later, however, the Taliban has once again taken control of the Middle East, not just Afghanistan, but the Middle East, amid a chaotic U.S. withdrawal. It might seem inexplicable as to how the world's most powerful military and its allies in the region lost the ground so quickly to a far smaller, less efficient group of Islamist militants. But in recent months, the U.S. military appears to have taken on priorities like teaching critical race theory, promoting gender ideology, and monitoring soldiers for extremism. That last one, we're going to get to that here a little later. The U.S. presence in Afghanistan has cost around, get this, $2 trillion, that's with a capital T, $2 trillion, and resulted in the deaths of 2,400 U.S. troops, according to Fortune magazine. The 2-decade effort to train the Afghan National Army, which cost around $83 billion, also went up in smoke as the Taliban in recent weeks took over much of the country and captured the capital city of Kabul. Now, the thing that really hurts, I mean, it all hurts. It needs to hurt. We've got people trapped there. They don't know. The Army says, we don't know what we can do. They need a shelter in place. We'll try to get them out or something. It keeps changing. And you have Navy SEALs, retired SEALs saying, give us 9 people and we'll get them out.
Yeah.
9 people.
Exactly.
So somebody's lying. Maybe somebody's exaggerating again, Dave. I don't know.
Yeah, and
But
the British are doing just that.
The British are, exactly. They're going into town, door to door, and they're finding their people. They're getting them out.
Mm-hmm.
So, but getting back to the whole issue of the military, the leaders, a thoroughly modern Milley, as I call him. I see Tucker calls him that too, General Milley, who's the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Yeah.
How he ever got picked, I don't even know who advised President Trump to pick him, but it's ridiculous. He was all busy apologizing basically for being white. He was into the whole critical race theory.
He wants to know about white race.
And then the new, I don't even know what he is, head of the Pentagon. He's another black general. I can't remember his name right now. He's busy dealing with promoting gender ideology. Mm-hmm. And his big issue is monitoring soldiers for extremism. Now, you know what the extremism is, right, Darren?
Oh, yeah.
It's racial.
If you're white, you thump a Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the clingers.
Yeah.
The clinging to your Bible.
And Bibles and guns.
Bitter clingers.
And so...
and don't forget, and you believe that masks and vaccines are not okay for your body, your choice, then you're an extremist.
Right. Anything that goes against the party line, right? The party line, which the last time I heard of the party line was in East Germany and the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
That you had, Cuba as well. Yeah. You had to toe the party line. So we're way, way far away from the mission of the military. In fact, I loved what Rush Limbaugh said. I know leftists and all progressives hated, but he said their thing is to, bomb and destroy things.
Yeah,
kill
break
people.
Kill things and break
things. Kill things and, he said kill people and break things.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I'll tell you how bad it is when I'm afraid to say kill people. Yeah. When I'm afraid of those two words that Rush was never afraid to say.
Yeah.
That's right.
The mission of the Army is to kill people and break things. That
That's
was, just the unfiltered Rush Limbaugh. And that is true. I mean, that is what armies are there for. Not just because they want to kill people and break things or destroy things. Right. It's because they're trying to prevent our people from being killed and our things from being broken.
Exactly.
And we are honestly now the laughingstock of the world.
Oh, wait. No. Trump did that.
Well, yeah, right.
I mean, isn't that what they said?
That's what they said, yeah.
7.5 months.
Joe Biden has restored our standing in the world. And now, what did the British Parliament do? They censored him. Can you imagine? The British Parliament censored the U.S. president. I mean, how do you do that? Now, first of all, who cares? Who cares? But,
who?
But yeah, who? No, it was a wetish. But, but for the British Parliament even to say that in lieu of or in light of what the people were saying, that American dignity and respect is going to be restored. Yeah, in your face, people. In your face.
In 7.5 months, the world has been destabilized.
Yeah, it has. Mm-hmm. It has. So anyway, but that's been pretty much sucking up most of the news this week. The whole Afghan withdrawal and sadly, I mean, we're just at the beginning of it. We haven't even heard the full ramifications.
Yep.
I've seen the videos. So, in fact, did you see the Al Qaeda has resurfaced?
Yep.
And they were actually marching. They were in these white outfits, and they had all of our M5. They had all of the brand new weapons that we left them. We left the Taliban and the Al Qaeda. M5 weapons, ammunition, Black Hawk helicopters, drones, and all kinds of other gear. I almost wonder, was this on purpose?
Right.
I mean, stuff like this doesn't just... Did we do this on purpose?
166 Blackhawks is what I read. 200 total aircraft.
Over 3,000 Humvees.
Yeah.
Why didn't we fly that stuff? We're flying the last count, what was it? 800 people, I think they had on that C-17. 800 people.
And you notice it was not women and children and elderly. They were army-aged men. Yeah.
And where did they? Well, at first they sent them to Qatar.
We need to give them a college degree, Dave.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Okay, guys.
Oh, sorry. Just saying.
We'll get there eventually.
Okay, we'll get there
eventually. But yeah, it's sad, people, and all I can encourage you to do is to have faith and pray.
Yes.
That's my
faith like
today.
Noah.
Faith like Noah. Have faith like Noah. We just have to believe that either God's going to turn this around or He's going to save the faithful. Yes. I mean, that's the only hope we have, because we are in serious trouble here, and it's not just on that end. Mm-hmm. Then let's get to the second big story of the week: COVID.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that.
That's what the Afghan situation has kind of taken our mind off of the whole COVID situation, right?
Yeah.
Man, it's getting worse and worse. The mandates they're trying to put on us, and
guilt trips.
That
seems to be the nightly news.
Yeah, I have to tell you this now. I don't know how true this is, so please, I'm not saying this is true. I'm just saying this is what I have heard from a person I respect very much, a pastor in town, who actually had COVID, and it's hit his church. Yeah. And he told me that they have, in the hospitals here, they found that the big problem they're having now is the people that have been vaccinated that are coming in, they're having a difficult time treating them. It's the people who have been vaccinated that they don't seem to have a treatment for.
Oh, my.
Yeah, they don't have a... So, that's a scary thought. Yeah. And we're not hearing anything about it. Have you heard anything about that?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I had not either. That's the first time. I was just shocked. So, I don't know. I mean, I totally trust this person, okay? And it kind of shocked me because I hadn't heard that one. I mean, I'm not a supporter of the vaccine, the forced vaccine. If anybody wants to get the vaccine, go for it. Go for it. You're
talking about the one that's not been approved by the FDA, right?
Anyone.
That's all three of them.
There are three or four.
That was partly sarcasm. But.
Oh, I know.
Well, I think it is important to objectively break down all three of them because they're not all the same.
Correct.
One of them is a very old school technology. Johnson & Johnson, their division called Janssen. That's one, folks, I decided to get that. It's a one-shot deal. It does not change your RNA like the other two do. Unfortunately, our own government is suppressing Janssen.
I know. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. They want everybody to be guinea pigs for this whole new technology, which even the inventor of that technology says, this won't work. Eventually, it'll harm your lungs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
To me...
You mean kind of like what's the thing called? You wear them at night to help you be able to sleep. Sleep apnea machine.
CPAP.
And as CPAP, and people are getting cancer from a CPAP.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, because of the COVID thing, or just in general?
Just in general, they've recalled. Philips has recalled a large number. I mean, I personally have like 5 friends.
Is it the machine or the mask?
The machine.
Okay.
Is it probably because of the plastics and stuff?
Well, one of the machines that they recalled, I'm sorry, we're getting a little off track. It has to do with the way it's cleaned.
Yeah.
The other ones, it's the plastic.
Yeah.
Huh. I have to say something. I have a CPAP machine.
Hope it's not a Philips.
Well, the mask in the tube. It's a ResMed machine.
ResMed is fine.
Okay. The machine is the ResMed, but
at least that's what I've been told.
But it's a Philips mask.
Yeah.
Folks, in case you're wondering, these are 2 insurance guys.
We're not giving any advice.
No, yeah. We're just, as you can see, we're very knowledgeable about this. I use the Philips mask with a ResMed machine.
But the other one, I was telling a friend on the way here, reminds me of when my grandpa was taking blood thinners. They said he needed to have blood thinners. Yep. So they put him on Coumadin.
Yes.
Guess what? That's rat poison.
Okay,
kills
all right,
people.
all right, Darren.
It was approved by the FDA.
You name another one, and I'm kicking you out.
Okay, all right.
I've been on Coumadin for 3 years.
Oh no!
I live by Coumadin.
Well, it's changed.
Saved my life.
It's changed.
Oh yeah, see now it's
Okay.
changed.
It's a different way they manufacture it. So,
And it's not the only blood thinner out there.
No, but see, I don't trust the others. What they wanted to do. This is your medical moment on Fresh Black.
Everybody wants to
Fresh
know.
Black medical advice.
Yeah.
But
In case you want to know.
yeah. Well, it's interesting because the first time I've for people out there, I've had blood clots.
Yes.
And I had pulmonary embolisms. For those that don't know what the embolism is, it's when your blood clots break away from the clot and they go into your lungs.
Yes.
And if they go from your lungs to your heart, it will block the blood flow. You die. It hits your brain. You die.
Yeah.
I had a friend two weeks after I had him. Someone told me he died exactly the same thing. 2 weeks. I was fortunate. They sent me right to ER. Gave me this stuff called Lovenox, which if you say something about Lovenox, I will slap you. No, I will. No, but anyway, they
saved your life.
They wanted, it saved my. Thank you. And they wanted me to get these. There are these filters they can put into your artery, and it will cut the clots into pieces so that it doesn't get stuck on your lungs. But I said, I'm not putting any kind of blades in my leg because I can just see what, I'm waiting for it to break loose. And well, sure enough, they recalled them because of exactly that. It was breaking a piece and getting hit.
You're making me think of something else that's been recalled all over TV. So I'm not going to mention that one
thank
either.
you. So,
But it has something to do with mesh.
Yeah. Anyway, that's yeah. Now you're talking about my mother.
I didn't know
mesh.
that's your mother.
She got the mesh. What? Have you been snooping on my family? All right, people. No, this is actually very serious stuff.
It
so
is.
I hope we're giving you information that you can use later. Hey, my goodness, the first half hour is already flown by. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. This is Fresh Black Coffee, and I hope you're waking up.
The mic's on. Okay.
And we're black. We're back. We're back. Hey,
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Those of you that aren't watching, please, I'm asking Darren to forgive me because I had to take him outside and whip him a few for all of the attacks on my family.
Fear and unbelief.
Seriously though, this is really good information. In fact, here's one other thing. We've been hearing a lot in this week about ivermectin. Mm-hmm. I'm sure everybody heard of ivermectin. It's now the miracle drug that seems to be recommended.
Yes.
And as I understand, I may be wrong, and I invite you people to write me, email us at freshblackcoffee@gmail.com, or you can go to freshblack.coffee and you can comment and whatever you want to do, or on the podcast, freshblackcoffee.podbean.com, if you can remember all of that. Yeah. Anyway, I couldn't. Hey, but as I understand, there are two different types of ivermectin. There's the animal version, and then there's a human version. There's the one that veterinarians use, and there's one for livestock. Mm-hmm. It basically,
get it at Atwood's.
I'm sorry, what?
You can get it at Atwood's.
Yeah, exactly. And so some people are doing it. In fact, I was talking to a brother last night, and he's probably listening or watching this podcast, and his whole family has been taking ivermectin. Well, in Mississippi, the Mississippi health officials are warning against ivermectin after a surge in poisoning calls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like Coumadin. Yeah, like rat poison. So I take it with a grain of salt. Now, here's what's interesting. This is you always have to read below the headlines, okay? So I don't want anybody to panic if you've been taking the ivermectin from a veterinarian or an animal, what would you call it,
animal
feed store or something like that, yeah. But let me read this, and then I'll point out the things. I got this, by the way, from The Blaze. This is from The Blaze, Glenn Beck's site. Mississippi public health officials warned the public against ingesting ivermectin, a drug meant for horses to combat COVID-19 after surge in poisoning calls involving the drug. A letter from state epidemiologist Paul Byers said that more than 70% of the recent calls to the Mississippi poison controls were related to the ingestion of ivermectin. Animal drugs are highly concentrated for large animals and can be highly toxic in humans, Byers said in a letter. Patients, now here's what you have to listen for. Patients should be advised to not take any medications intended to treat animals and should be instructed to only take ivermectin as prescribed by their physician. So when you read the headline, you're thinking, oh my God, ivermectin is poison.
Yeah.
But when you actually read what the physicians are saying or the medical authorities, you should be advised not to take it unless it's as prescribed by your physician.
Can I?
Okay.
You know why? Fake news.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Good one. That was a good
I'll
time.
tell you what 2 doctors told me. If you're going to self-medicate through Atwoods, is it because it's mainly that purchase is for horses, let's say cattle.
Yeah.
It's all by weight. So if you don't know how to measure that by weight, you're going to poison yourself.
That's one thing. And then you also, they create it for different biological makeup. A horse may need a different mixture of things such as buffers or maybe not a buffer where a human might need. So, yeah, it depends on what animal you're treating.
Thank you. Thank you, doctors.
Yes.
Wannabe. Oh, only on podcast episodes.
TV.
I will continue.
Yes.
The medication is intended to be used as a horse dewormer, and the FDA has warned that using any medication for an unapproved use can be dangerous.
Yep.
But here we continue. Byers said that there had been no hospitalizations. Right. A big headline, but in a bulletin warning, but he said there have been no hospitalizations from ivermectin ingestion, but he listed the symptoms that could arise from misuse, including rashes, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and neurological disorders.
Yeah.
I have enough of those without that. So anyway, he reported that 85% of the cases reported of poisoning involving ivermectin led to mild symptoms. The letter was sent to Mississippi physicians, hospitals, emergency rooms, and other medical professions. So, again, like all of this stuff, like you said, fake news or exaggerated news, or news,
twisted to meet an agenda.
Exactly.
Yes.
So they're putting out a bulletin. There's been this rash of poisoning, and I was battling on the Tulsa World Facebook page this week. I don't know if you guys have been there, but I invite everyone, go on the Tulsa World Facebook page. It's a hot page. It's a popular, and a lot of people that are my Facebook friends are on there, and we're battling. I mean, it's some of the people. I mean, the Tulsa World, so they're readers, and this has been one of the things dealing with ivermectin, hydrochloroquine. Different remedies that we tend to believe in. Many people tend to believe in. These people think, it's quack medicine and this and that, but they have no proof. But they will quote a headline from an article like this, and most people will not read below the fold to really find out what's really there. So let me just say this. From people I trust, sources I trust, I believe ivermectin is a legit drug for fighting this. But I want to just caution you, as we have discussed, talk to a physician, find out what the dosage should be to do it right, so you're not getting rashes or food poisoning and stuff like this. Dave, you have another article here?
Donald Trump's treatment, remember he had to go in the hospital, Walter Reed, for his, and they actually listed what they were giving him, total everything. Much of this is over-the-counter stuff. Dextromethorphan, which I believe is going to be a
decongestant.
Pardon me?
Decongestant.
A decongestant, good. Remdesivir. Okay, and so that's under the brand name Veklury. got an emergency authorization. So that's specifically one of the things they're kicking out here. Now, the other thing, Regeneron, that's actually a Kickstarter to your own antibodies. So if it's given early, much of this stuff, if it's given early, and I can't emphasize enough, begin your treatment early. Don't wait and see if it gets worse before you get help. So then zinc. Now, zinc, you've got to take it with something that opens up your cells. The most popular is going to be hydroxychloroquine, right? But one of Trump's doctors said that the over-the-counter supplement quercetin.
Quercetin, yeah.
Quercetin. I take that
That's
as
what
a
we have,
prophylactic.
quercetin and zinc. Yeah,
Yes,
we've been
I take that every day for the last year and a half. Let's see. And then there's famotidine, which is actually Pepsid. Okay, that was just something for... And then melatonin helped them sleep better, and aspirin. That's the total. And remember how quickly Trump was out of the hospital?
Yeah.
You got to take it early. You know, and so that I just want to let people know the tools that are out there.
And this ivermectin, however you want to say it, I guess that may be Okie slang that I used, but my understanding is the World Health Organization actually has a list of essential, safest drugs in the world, and it's like number 3.
Yeah, it's like the
been there for
hydroxychloroquine. See, I go to Africa, or I have been. I was supposed to go last year, but with the whole COVID situation, I wasn't able to go. But I've been taking the original chloroquine in the 80s and now the hydroxychloroquine when I go. No problem. No problem. Now it's like one of the most dangerous, deadly medicines on earth. I mean, if you listen to these people, and and millions of Africans and South Americans, people in malaria zones, have taken this for years without deaths or, and like any drug. Now, let me say this. I'm not going to say no one died. But like anything, people die of aspirin, Tylenol, ibuprofen. There are side effects that hit certain people a certain way, or an overdose, or they don't take it right. No matter what it is, you have to be careful with every medicine. But hydroxychloroquine, chloroquine, ivermectin, all of these are medicines that have worked, have been prescribed as working, and so forth. So what you need to do, oh, by the way, what's the name? Oh, I forgot the name of the doctors that got banned from Facebook and Twitter and everything.
Well, bunches of them have.
Well, no, but there's the one group that was in front of the...
Yeah, it's a black woman from Africa.
Well, no, but there are a whole series of
there
doctors. She was just one of the...
Right.
They're called not Doctors Without Borders. It's Doctors something. Anyway.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And maybe if we do another break, we can look it up. If not, go to the website. Dave, I'll give it to you. You can post it on freshblack.coffee. Yeah. You can post it on there, and I'll put it on the other one as well. But you can contact them, and they will get you the hydroxychloroquine. Because there are a lot of hospitals, doctors that refuse to prescribe it because they're under penalty of whatever.
I know 2 doctors right here in Tulsa that have treated over 11,000 people with ivermectin, and none of them have been to the hospital, and they've had no patients die. Wow. There's another doctor in Texas, over 10,000 on his own, and of course, I believe he was one of the people they used on TV as an expert medical guy, and they ripped him off TV because he's actually healing people of this.
Yeah.
So
anyway, we'll put this up on the link later, okay? And so we'll just do this.
We're called America's Frontline Doctors.
America's Frontline Doctors. Yeah. There we go.
It's
America's Frontline Doctors, and just look them up and look for their website. And as I said, if you're interested, we'll also put the link up on our websites.
Freshblack.coffee.
And people can contact them to see if they can get a hold of the hydroxychloroquine. And you say you know a couple of doctors that do the ivermectin. Okay, very good. All right. Hey, I want to back up. Well, you know what? No, we'll get off on this, and we'll never come back. Darren, I invited you in because you've been involved in Oklahoma politics for some time. And you were chairman of the Oklahoma, or the Tulsa Republican Men's Club.
I was.
Right, you were.
For several years.
Right.
6 years.
And now, what is your new position or title? What do you do now?
I was asked by the newly elected chairman in April 10th, I believe it was, and he asked me if I would be the finance director
For
the Oklahoma Republican Party.
So the entire state party. It's
Yes.
not the local Tulsa.
Correct.
County.
It's all 77 counties.
Wow.
And
you're in charge of what now?
finance.
Okay.
There's a finance committee.
Now
Anything-
your middle name is
fundraising.
not Judas or anything like that. is it?
No,
Okay.
no.
All right. Just want to be sure we got the right handling. The
Judas wouldn't lie to you.
Hold on.
So far, there's been no little pieces of silver.
Well,
I'll
good.
just
All
tell
right,
you
all right.
that.
All right. No, very good. Well, no, seriously, Darren is a good guy. And,
Yes.
and he's someone. I had to. Let me just say this real quick. I don't know what it was, but I've known Darren now probably 15 years, at least, maybe a little more. And he stepped in when we set up the Tulsa Christmas Parade because the downtown parade was they didn't want to call it the Christmas Parade. They wanted to change it to Holiday Parade because we were supposedly offensive to Jews and
Well, the
Muslims.
The Christians are trying to take over Christmas.
Well, according to them, yeah. So, and Darren joined afterwards. There were 5 of us that met for that first meeting to kick this off, that we were going to do an alternate parade. And I have to say, of all the people that came on board to work, Darren worked harder than anybody. He did more to make it happen, recruiting and organizing and everything like that. So he's the right guy for the job. So now you're the finance director for the Oklahoma Republican Party. Now, tell us what's going on with the party.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. That was very kind. And it was a lot of fun. And it was for the right reason.
Yeah.
You know, Christ should be in Christmas, obviously. That's the name of it. And to not call it a Christmas tree, but a holiday tree was obviously a wrong thing. But in the past, the finance chairman, director, whatever you want to call it, has always been the guy or lady who goes out and raises money, helps the party. Coming into this, one of the things, I went to Oklahoma Wesleyan University and got my MBA in finance, and the very first thing I said is, "Where's the checkbook? Mm-hmm. Who's got the checkbook, and how much is in it?" And why is because we need to know how we're going to pay the bills. Because when the new chairman comes in, they have a treasurer, a finance director, they have a budget chairman, and then they have a legal counsel. So I'm actually one of those people that had to be approved by the state committee. But until a state committee meeting is called, you're just acting in that role. So I was acting as finance director, if you will.
And doing the hardest work, because that time period before you get approved is when the real tough
trying to
work
figure it
happens.
all out. And there's so many rules and regulations from the federal, the state, as well as just paying the general bills and trying to understand where we at in everything and make sure you don't break any laws, break any rules. And I mean, from the first day on the job, I mean, I'm being put on the checkbook and finding out that there's a flood of bills that have to be paid. And I'm like, but where's the money? You know, how much money do we have? We just came off of a very robust, large state convention, and what should have raised a tremendous amount of money, which it did, almost, I can't remember the exact numbers. I think it was $165,000, which is a lot of money to the Republican Party all at once. And I've never seen that ever happen before, and I said that at the state committee meeting. I've never seen one that big. It could have happened, but I've never seen it, and I've been around the party since like 1992. So never been that privileged at that level.
Let me just ask, what was the gross margin of profit after you paid the bills for the convention? What did we have left over from the convention?
We lost $2,000, and there's a lot of reasons why that happened.
Okay.
First of all, we were told things, but when I dug in, found receipts and found emails, the things that we were being told that actually was not the case. It wasn't moved because of size or because of COVID or this, right? There was all kinds of reasons why. The fact is, it was billed too big, paid too much for a speaker. We could have held that very easily in a church like we mostly do every 2 years.
Yes.
And this time they decided to rent the Cowboy Hall of Fame, which is expensive.
No, that's for the gala the night before the convention.
Exactly, which is really where the money's raised. It's not.
Okay.
It's not. The money's not really raised at the convention with your fee to participate.
Even though it was $45
Right.
to go. Normally it's 20,
Yeah.
25 maybe.
Yeah. So, again, I don't know why that happened. I wasn't there. I wasn't on the budget committee.
Yeah.
There was a lot of consternation in not having meetings that were required. But here's the bottom line. The bottom line comes into this. When I entered and started figuring this out, I'm like, we got to have a treasurer. I can't do this full time for free because I'm basically acting as the treasurer and the finance director. So
the finance director is more about raising money, right?
Right.
Not paying the bills and balancing the books.
Right.
Gotcha.
When I asked for help, I got help and went through a series of 3 different people before I found someone that was quality to actually be the treasurer, and they agreed to it. The first one said, there's too many problems with our bills. I see too much I don't want to be involved in. And the second one said the same thing, plus they said, and this doesn't pay. So they said, no, thank you. And both of these gentlemen are CFOs of different operations and have MBAs in finance. These were people I knew that could do the job. So the next person in line that I went to was a friend, and I said, another friend, and I said,
guilt tripped a friend into it.
Yeah, so I want you to entertain this idea and look at it. And then he met with everybody and decided to do it because he cares about the Republican Party.
There you go.
And the first 2 gentlemen saw the first things I saw. How in the world did you have an event like this and you didn't raise any money?
Exactly.
So there should have been $100,000, maybe $120,000 raised off of that.
Off the gala.
The gala, yeah.
And we had a big name national speaker.
Yeah, Candace Owens.
Yeah.
Big name, and a lot of people were happy.
And you think she was overpaid? Or not, that she wasn't overpaid, but
yeah,
it would have been better. We
$30,000.
could have gotten someone for less.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I heard that we sold it out, though.
It was sold out.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to get caught off in all of that.
So here's
stay on the field.
So if I can.
So bottom line.
So fast forward through today, we were in debt. We were in debt to the Oklahoma Tax Commission, the IRS. We had debtors, bill collectors, if you will, law firms. There were outstanding bills that weren't paid. There were CPA that the party has, and they were not paid. I think in the tune of 3 months. In this time, since I came into this position, we've been able to raise money to pay all those debts off, which was really a tremendous amount of money. But what it does is we were the previous chairman was spending about $18,000 a month. $18,000 a month,
including his salary.
That's including his salary.
Yeah.
So the first thing I did, I said, we're cutting. We're going in and we're going to start. We're going to be the conservatives that we say that we are. We always tell our politicians we want them to operate like a business, so that's what we did. And we immediately went in and we cut the operation back to $5,800 and said no one's on a salary until the money's raised. And so that's what we did, and that's the conservative way of running a business. And even though we're a nonprofit organization, we're still running and operating a business. And so that's what we did. First thing we did, there were no staff expenditures as far as salaries or benefits or anything like that. Everybody's a volunteer. And from that, we have well over 40 volunteers that operate, which we have is tremendous amount of people who just stepped up. As I said at the state committee meeting, folks, many of you have given for years. The people who have stepped up and given this party money right now at this critical hour are people who have never given money before to the party ever.
Those Trump people.
Yeah. They're from the $10 to I think the most somebody's given is 10.
Yeah.
And which is the max. You can give 5 to the state. You can give 5 to the federal account.
$5?
5,000.
5,000.
So that's the most.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you haven't written your check, you can go ahead and figure that out, how you're going to pay for it. Dave, I'm asking for
Feel
you
free.
today.
Yes.
I have a QR code on a card right now you can get. So
Well,
on top of that,
to just bring it because we'll use up
FEC, FEC reports are up to date.
Right.
Every vendor has been paid. All the debts have been paid.
How much back debt have you paid?
No, we don't. I don't want to go there.
It's deep.
It's just, bottom line is, you pulled them out of the hole.
Yes.
And the party looks good right now.
The party looks really good right now. Really good.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take one more break, and then we'll come back after this. For the final segment of Fresh Black Coffee on this weekly version, Darren, you were telling us about some of the state party. Who's the new chairman? Who's the chairman now?
Former state representative John Bennett.
A former military guy. He was an officer in the Marines. And
20 years.
20 years, wow. Okay, so bottom line, we look good.
Yep.
Party's strong, and we're going further. Let
me say something else on that. The party's money raising ebbs and flows.
Right.
And that's why off air we talked about once before. We're going to have a special state convention. Normally we only have that every 2 years. So it's kind of critical because this is a kind of an area that we can keep the money flowing, especially from small donors.
Which brings me to a question. How important is money compared to numbers? In other words, to me, in my thinking, it's all about getting participation people.
Yeah.
And we're talking about money here. So where do the two intersect? What's the importance of money versus people?
Well, money's the milk
or
of politics.
Can you not separate them?
And money is, I would say, a little bit more important because, especially in today's climate, what we see is we have a lot of people who say they want to help, but they don't really help. Or once they come there, they go, yeah, that's really not what I thought it was. And they don't really stay as a volunteer.
Right. So basically, where your money is, you will follow. I mean, in other words, money is a way to tell people they're really invested. And usually when people are invested, they're going to do more for it. Now, the other side of that is, what are you doing with the money now? Because right now, all we've talked about is conventions and meetings and a pre-convention gala or something. So what is actually going to be done with these funds you raise?
Well, a couple things. First of all, to truly run the Oklahoma State Republican Party, you need $1.5 million. And that's not Darren Gantz's number, okay? 2 years ago, I told the state party, you need $1 million to operate. Typically, we operate somewhere between $180,000 to $300,000 a year. That's not enough money because I mean, think about how much it costs to operate with staff. So what's a staff cost? What does it to get the quality person you need in that position?
Okay, but what I'm getting is what is the staff doing? In other words, what is the staff doing? I think that's what people really want to know, because I don't want to just pay a bunch of people salaries. I want to see somebody doing something with that money.
Well, you have marketing dollars that are going.
There we go.
One of the primary purposes of the party is to help recruit and train candidates, counties, precinct direct chairmen. All this stuff costs money, whether it's handouts, website, bringing in people to help train people. There's things that just cost money, just like it does for your business.
What about advertising? Like for campaign, once the primary is over, because I know you can't get involved in the primary, but once the primary is over, you've got this Republican running against a Democrat here. Right. How much are you guys involved in actually paying for campaign ads?
Well, at the party level, when the state gives money, they give directly to the candidate.
To the nominee.
And for the most part, a lot of the times our party hasn't had money to give to the candidates.
Yeah, but something happened last Saturday we just hit on something. The state party, John Bennett, chairman, was part of a rally at the Capitol. Now, some other groups came in and actually took a lead on it. But we were expecting maybe a few hundred. Mm-hmm. Well, now some numbers are saying we got a few thousand.
Yeah.
And because we messaged about freedom on health decisions, that really caught a nerve. That's the kind of thing the party can do, is build a message right now.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing we
Through
need.
the numbers that you were talking about bringing numbers together.
Right.
Yes.
But see, again, I think to me the key is you're talking about the message.
You're right.
Getting that message out.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. Does the party actually actively participate in campaign ads, in newspaper?
That's why the party needs 1.5 million to truly operate a campaign. To operate on a congressional level, you need anywhere. In the past, you could go down to 300,000 and be pretty competitive and actually win. Today, you really, to be in a congressional race, you need to be in 500,000, 750,000, right. And many congressional races are spending in the millions.
Yeah.
So we, as a party, in order to break through that noise, it does take money.
Okay. And let me say something else. You ask what's more important, the numbers, the people, or the money? Well, Darren, you said early on this topic that this money was coming from new sources. Mm-hmm. And so by bringing in new people, the person who maybe doesn't relate to the old GOP, grand old party, but they relate to Donald Trump, for instance, because some of them are very wealthy people, and they got no stomach for party politics. Right. But if you're for the Trump agenda, yes, I'll give to that.
And that's why
that's a dynamic going on.
In the past, there was a Minuteman project. That was a monthly giving.
Oh, yes.
And
I've always been a member
$10 to whatever you could give monthly to the party. And then you get maybe a token gift or something along those lines.
I got a pin.
You got a pin,
a lapel pin.
Or a gold key, things like that. We reinstituted that about a month ago, and that was something that our lieutenant governor had shared with me.
Yes.
Said, man, you got to bring back the Minuteman project.
Absolutely.
That helps pay the bills.
Yes.
So in over the last few weeks, the bills are getting paid through people going to the online giving through the Minuteman, and one-time gifts or monthly.
Okay, great. I'm almost speechless here.
Sorry.
No. I'm just thinking. I think what people at home really are interested in, and it goes farther than us. Farther than Oklahoma Party, the Tulsa Party, and everything, because there seems in so many of these states, the party is at odds with the governors, or the party's at odds with these candidates and that. So I'm thinking in Oklahoma, for example, how supportive are you all to Governor Stitt? Because again, getting back to the Tulsa world and so many things, there are people attacking him all the time on everything. They're just looking for pick. And so what we need is people to either be for, I guess in a sense, for or against. But as a Republican, the party, do we think, well, first of all, do we think he's doing a good job, I guess is the first question. And the second question is, if not, what should he be doing? If he is, how supportive or how are we able to support him?
That's a big question. So the first thing is, I know that the chairman has contact with the governor's office.
They've had meetings.
I think the governor should meet more with his grassroots, but at the same time, the people out there listening, the governor didn't need the party to get elected. $4 million broke him through to a runoff, and the name ID, and then a really terrible one marketing commercial saying bullshit from Mick Cornett really ruined his campaign and launched our governor into the government.
Who advised him on that?
Yeah.
Well, I know who that was, but
I would say, Darren, our brand as Republicans is not Governor Stitt. As high as right now, he's got the highest positive ratings of any politician in Oklahoma. It's Governor Stitt. But he's not our brand.
No.
Our platform is our brand.
Right.
And so we're about issues, not about individuals.
Right. Exactly. And I would say that John Bennett is the closest thing to representing the party platform and the grassroots that elected him. 1,000 people went to the convention, but you have your opportunity. You have your chance to get to a precinct meeting and to a county convention. And if you don't like how it works, you don't like who's in there, that's where you go. And that's how our party structure works. And hopefully if somebody's listening and they don't like it, or they like it and they want more of it, then you need to get involved precinct and the county and then come to the state convention. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question totally, but I will say there needs to be more communication, I would say.
From the governor and the party.
And the party,
okay,
to hear what his true grassroots constituents are saying. And right now, I can tell you from what I hear on the ground is they want the freedom and not the government mandating anything to them. And that's,
right. And so far, he's supporting that. I mean, he's basically he's not mandating anything.
This is Darren Gantz. He needs to call a special session and demand just that.
Well, there is a special session coming in a few weeks, but it's about the redistricting. We'll see if they add to and expand, because that's a beautiful opportunity to expand on that mandate. And the governor will be calling that.
That has to happen by law, so yes.
Yeah. Right. But as I understand, because I've noticed that there's been lawsuits filed against the governor and the party, essentially, for him not...
I don't know of anything against the party. It's the GOP. But
I think it's the legislature. The governor and legislature for passing bills that basically ban masks in school and or vaccination, mandatory vaccinations. They've been opposed to that. So, because again, as I said, I'm in some of these pits where it's like you're being in a gladiator pit, where you see all of these people that are trying to attack and force mandates and vaccinations and masks on people. They want everybody to conform, basically the conformers. And so that's the thing where I think we need to really support him, support our legislators, support John Bennett. I mean, John needs to
Eddie, I'd say we need to pray for our leaders, no matter whether they're the chairman of the GOP or the governor, either one.
That's true. That's true.
I know you agree with that.
Yeah. And now, one thing I will say, because I've met John a couple of times and seen him in things, it would be good to have either he soften his persona or have some spokesperson like yourself or others out there that can deliver the message in a more palatable way. It's not, my way or the highway or our way and no way, that kind of thing. I support everything that he believes in. Right. I think it's right. And I think part of it is he has been in combat. He's seen some of the things, that are going on. He comes back here and he sees they're winning not only over there, but they're winning here as well. So I can imagine he would be a little bit upset by that. But I'm just saying there is always that balance. In fact, I mentioned it in my upcoming book here. There was a book in the 60s by Marshall McLuhan called The Medium is the Massage. Instead of the message, the Messiah. It was kind of a cute play on words. Right. And it was like a forerunner, and I believe the Democrat Party adopted it. Republicans were too proud to. But he basically was one of the first ones to say that you can get people to eat anything, do anything, if you massage them through your message. Right. And so there's a way, Jesus put it as being wise as serpents and harmless as doves, okay? And so you're never going to make everybody happy, but you do have to find a way to reach people in a way that you don't totally make them mad, turn them off, and that type of thing. So I think it's good to have somebody like John at the helm setting the course. Yeah. But as a word of advice, just Eddie Huff here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that it might be good to get a communications person or a committee that sits around, like Dave and I have talked before about the guys that do the advertising, the Geico commercials or the Progressive commercials. Don't be like your parents. These people sitting around in a room and they share ideas and so forth and so forth and so on, and then they come up how they're going to craft the message. And I believe that is something, and I'm not just speaking about Oklahoma. I'm not just speaking about Tulsa. Nationally, the party to me has been one of the worst at communicating I've ever seen. You look at Ronald Reagan. I was not Fox. What's their name? Newsmax. They have these like couple of minute things at the top of the hour certain times, and they have these old Ronald Reagan speeches. And man, I just sit there and marvel at
the great communicator.
Oh my goodness. It was unbelievable what the guy, no wonder he was who he was. Because, I mean, I'm going to get a little crass here, but an idiot could understand what he was saying, I mean, for lack of a better way to put it, but you did not have to be a college educated conservative or whatever to figure it out. Man, person sitting there, the little old lady sitting at home on Social Security, and the man, the black person, the white person, the Hispanic, you name it, they could see the American dream. We're not. All we're doing is being the opposition party. We're against this. We're against this. We're against this. We're for this. We're against this. We're against it. Instead of, this is why we believe what we believe.
This is why we're a Republican.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. What it means to be a Republican,
right.
What we're trying to do, how to follow, and so forth. And here's what this has led to, right? This greatest nation on earth, the nation that people are willing to cling to an airplane to try to get to.
I will say this.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry. I'm preaching now, but
as a party, as a GOP nationally, I agree with that. When you hear John speak in person, and that it's not soundbited, that's exactly what you get. That is who he is, and unfortunately, there's a little clip here and a little clip there, and that's all you get. It's very similar to what we had in our last president. If you listen to the whole talk, you go, "Oh, I know why he said that." And, I would have said that too.
Yeah,
and
maybe he's matured. I was there when he was initially first elected to the House.
Yeah,
this is 8 years ago, maybe
10.
10, yeah. And so he probably wasn't that skilled in his delivery.
He's still a flamethrower.
Okay, all right.
He is. There's that aspect to John. He just is.
Yeah. So, but I'm sure you're probably right. He probably has matured and crafted his
I think
message.
he delivers well. And if you watch the deal that happened at the Capitol last week, I mean, and he called me after it was over, and I said, "Wow, that was powerful." I felt a real special anointing there, and the people reacted to it very well. And I thought it was impactful.
Yeah,
and we need leaders to be impactful and mean it. And I think John has done a good job of that. Now, and there's always going to be people that disagree with you. You can't make everybody happy.
I mean, they hated Reagan, but ultimately they could not argue with his message. He just had a way of delivering that message that you no matter how much you didn't like him, you couldn't really refute the things he was.
At this point in time in history that we're living in, we're in a moment right now. It's obvious by watching the debacle of the last 7.5 months, not just the last week.
You're right.
Is that we have been going through a course of how to become a communist, and we are in a battle, and it's a war that's not just going to be won on one playing field. That's a battle. This is a war that's going on globally, and John's message is the same as it was the day he actually got elected. Is that I've been in combat. I've seen what they've done. I've got friends that are missionaries. I'm sure both of you do too. They've lived in communist countries. They see what's happened and what happened to them quickly and how they lose their freedom and people give up. They have no hope. And the hope is that the freedom that we espouse as Republicans is freedom and liberty. And that liberty needs to be defended at all costs. And many military people that I've met that have joined the party, have been given money to the party, have become precinct chairmen, have all said, "I just left a war, and I've come home to communism. They see it. It's like the frog in the boiling water. The person who's been here, they can't see it. They just go home and get in their chair and they watch the nightly news, and they don't understand what's really happening.
Yeah. That's why, listeners out there, you are important. I hope you'll do more than just listen. We need them to do more than listen. We need you to get involved. Wherever you are in the country, you need to get involved, because you can't sit back and let somebody else do it. You can't hope that your politicians will do it. Okay? Right. You've got to do it yourself. And one of the things, I want to go back to something we haven't heard so much about probably in the last month, maybe a couple of weeks, simply because of Afghanistan and COVID. Mm-hmm. But it's this whole thing, the cultural war. And particularly critical race theory and the whole race issue, okay? It's kind of subsided a little, but it's still there. It's there. And the Democrats will bring it up in a heartbeat as soon as everything else quiets down. I think one of the reasons we're seeing a lot of this other stuff now is to divert attention from all of the stuff that's going on. But I've got an article. This is back in June. Now, and this kind of speaks to my peeve about the whole issue of I'm going to call it brainwashing or mind bending, okay, and communication, why it's important on how we communicate. But listen to this is from Austin, Texas. Deacon Ivy is used to the lingering stares in restaurants and on vacation. As a biracial teenager with white evangelical parents, Deacon said he often feels uncomfortable going into public with his multiracial family and their predominantly white community in Texas. Waiters will ask, "Are you together? Who's paying?" said Deacon, who's 15 and learning to drive. "We're kids." Well, I've experienced this, okay? I've experienced this, but I see it in a whole different way. In other words, if I'm at a group of people, then, and there's a who's paying, because you don't want to assume I'm just going to hand a bill to somebody. Oh, no, we're not, it's almost, you lose whichever way you go. And people can get bent out of shape because somebody asks, is this on one ticket or is it not? Well, we're one family, that kind of thing. And I remember this is an example. For example, I was in a little North Texas Southern Baptist church. I think, have I talked about this, Dave? I may have talked about it, where I was the only fly in the ointment, only fly in the milk.
You told me years ago.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I was the only black person in there. Mm-hmm. And I know I shook up people. It was a Southern Baptist church, too. Southern Baptists who are supposed to be these racist conservatives. And, yeah, it was a little weird, but they're not used to it. Have a white person show up in a black church.
I've done that.
Yeah. And did you get stares? Did you get people wondering why? Or maybe
mostly I got welcomed.
Well, exactly. Well, and the same thing.
10 years ago, that might not have been the case.
Well, yeah. But the same thing happened, and I'll just wrap up with this. I led a fraternity brother of mine to the Lord years ago. This was in Lubbock, Texas. I got saved after graduation, and then went back to my fraternity brothers, and so I led one to the Lord, and we had to find a church, and there was this church called Trinity Church in Lubbock, Texas, which became a well-known. I couldn't find Trinity Church. All I could find was Trinity Baptist. I said, well, that must be it. Well, it wasn't it. So me and my buddy, we show up, big afros, hard-looking black dudes on a Sunday morning at this little Southern Baptist church in Lubbock, Texas. And we walk in, and of course the people were looking at us like, wow.
Where's your cowboy hat?
Who? Yeah. I'm sure that's what they were thinking. You're out of uniform. No, but so we went in. Oh, how are you? Okay, come in, please. And we sat down, and it wasn't just that they were all white. There was not a person under 60 in the church.
Oh, yeah.
It was just an old Southern Baptist church.
Yep.
And so afterwards, this is crazy. It's almost embarrassing, but they were almost begging us to come back. They really wanted us to come back. Mm-hmm. And it showed me that the stuff you hear, you're going to get cases of people that have an issue, they're suspicious, they're not used to you or whatever. You're always going to have that. But you have to fight through it. That's how we became who we are. That's how you have black heroes, black legends, people that fought through it.
Sure.
They put up with the, if you want to call it abuse, I don't call it necessarily, I mean, let me not say there was no abuse. Yes, there was abuse. There was injustice, all of that stuff, okay? But predominantly what it was is a lack of understanding. A lack of understanding. You get a white person that shows up at a black church, the first question usually is going to be, what are they doing here? Right? What are they doing here? Especially if it's a white woman. Although, what they're going to try to steal our man. You know, that kind of stuff. And a lot of it. Oh man, I'll get off the subject here. It's usually a male female thing, a fear of losing whatever. But anyway, I don't want to go there. But all I'm trying to really say is, and we have to wrap it up. Julian is giving me the signal over here. Yeah. But so much of this is BS. So much of this is BS. Deacon and his 3 teenage siblings have comfortably lived in a 5-bedroom farmhouse in rural South Austin. These guys are supposed to be representative of the new Baptist, the new Southern Baptist, okay? And they're talking about the issue and why this is important, because Southern Baptist Church had a vote on whether to begin teaching critical race theory. And it was a big argument, and they never did ban it. They never did come out completely saying this is not a part of our thing. So, but that's what's happening. We're indoctrinating. We're getting people. I'm going to finish with this one last story. When we were coming from Texas to Oklahoma, my wife and my kids, because I'm biracial, I'm half black, and I married a white girl who trapped me against my will. Against my will. Not just kidding. But so my kids are quadroon. That means quarter black. Okay, so they're very light. They look white. My son has green eyes. One of them has green eyes. One of them actually looks black, fortunately, and the others they got their mother's style. So we're coming up to Oklahoma, and we're on the turnpike between Oklahoma City and Tulsa. And so there's that McDonald's. We're all hungry. We pull into McDonald's, and we're there in the McDonald's in line. And I'm at the back because I'm the guy paying, right? So all our kids are going in. My son, the one with his mother's eyes, the green eyes, he was real tan. He's mixed. He's got a darker skin. So this young girl working at McDonald's looked at him and said, "Whoa, dude, what a tan! Where'd you get that tan?" And he points at me. He said, "From him."
Yeah.
And the whole restaurant, everybody in there looked
Scandal.
Up, and there I am standing there. And the girl just was so embarrassed. It's like she wanted to find a hole to crawl in. And we're all just cracking up. Like our whole family is just laughing at this thing. I mean, it was an honor. It was a question.
Oh, it was a great moment.
Exactly. Yeah. And our family just thought it was the funniest thing in the world, you know. And my son didn't even say. He just pointed at me and then of course everybody's looks. And what is she talking about? And then they see, and we could have made something of it or whatever. But it was, to us, it was a funny moment.
Yeah,
a funny moment.
But for the gal, that was what we call white fear. When you realize you said something that was racial that you didn't think it was.
Yeah, that could be offensive. Yeah. So anyway, the innocent girl, and I came up, I finally paid and said, "You're okay. Don't worry about it." Because it was innocent. It was actually cute. One of those deals. So, but I'm fed up. I'm fed up with the stuff.
Yep.
The racial stuff. Enough. I'm fed up with that stuff. We gotta quit. We have to fight back, and I'm going to do everything I can to fight back, because the people I know, everywhere I've been, I tend to be kind of a pioneer. A lot of times, I can't tell you how often I'm the only black guy in the room. And you guys have probably seen it, right? But you probably, it never even occurred to you, right? And that's because I don't make it an issue.
Good.
And so that's what has to happen.
Yeah.
So all of my black listeners out there, if you're black and you're conservative or you're thinking about it or you've never been there, as FDR said, you have nothing to fear but fear itself.
Yeah.
If you know who you are and you're confident in you, realize that usually it's not about you. If somebody has an issue, it's because they've got problems at work, they've got problems with their wife, their boss, their kids, something. It's not about you. Get over yourself.
All right.
And that's the message to all of this white fragility, all of the Black Lives Matter, critical race theory. It's just critical BS is what it is. Critical BS. Okay? So anyway, hey, listen, Darren Gantz, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Eddie.
David, as usual, thank you. Julian, thank you so much for running everything, for making it so much easier.
Got some bonus content on freshblack.coffee. Babylon Bee just discovered the Afghan Women's Bill of Rights draft.
All right.
We'll have it up on freshblack.coffee.
All right. See you next week.